What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After Season 7, the Tell All Part 4, 4 and done. So let's continue on with Usman and Michael. Right after Angela told Michael in last week's episode that she did not want Michael hanging out with Usman, Michael gets up and he goes to see Usman in his, I guess, his hotel room or on the other side of the studio. I don't know. So he goes to go see Usman. And he's knocking on the door, and as soon as the door opens, Michael, like, right away is like, F off. F off. And it's like, it's just so crazy. Like, he's just out of nowhere just telling Usman to F off. So Usman comes to the door, and Usman tells Michael, the whole time I was defending you. And I was defending you because I thought that Angela didn't want you to have your own social media because she was just being really mean and controlling. Well, come to find out, you're out there wilding out using social media to meet other women. And so now I kind of see why she doesn't want you to have your own Instagram. And so Michael says, yeah, I was caught out there. It all came out in the tell all or on stage that I was messing around with another woman or talking to another female. The voice note, all the evidence was there. But the only thing I'm asking you to do is to please stop going back and forth with my wife. Angela loves me. I love her. She's down for me. She'll do anything for me. And I cannot let you disrespect my wife like that with the way that you were talking to her, yelling at her, cussing her out. All that's got to stop. Usman says, you know what? If she's going to bring it to me, I'm going to bring her right back to her. So no, I'm not going to stop. You need to tell her to leave me alone because I don't bother nobody. I stay in my own lane. But she's the one that starts coming at me, calling me a scammer, all this stuff. So if she brings it to me, I'm bringing her right back to her. So right there, it kind of told me that Usman it's still a little bit on the immature side because you cannot be going back and forth with every single body. The problem is people like Angela and people like Ed, when you start going back and forth with these people, you kind of bring yourself down to their level and you start looking just as idiotic as them. Angela likes to grandstand. She likes all the attention to be on her. So she's going to be outlandish. She's going to be crass. She's going to just make a big spectacle of herself because she just likes the attention. And the same thing with Ed. Ed likes to push buttons. Ed likes to see people react. And if you start going back and forth with these people, you start looking just as idiotic or even more so than them because they don't care about the argument. They don't care whatever the topic of discussion is. It doesn't matter to them. They just want to make their point, to get a reaction or be the center of attention, and then they forget about it. You're the one that's still seething. You're still angry. You're still frustrated because you're trying to make a point and they don't give a damn about any kind of point that you're trying to make. They're just there for reactionary purposes. So Usman says he doesn't want to stop going back and forth with Angela. As long as Angela keeps poking at him, he's going to poke right back at her. So Usman is an idiot, as we've already known that. So let's move on to Jovi and Yara. So the first question they ask Yara is, did you get your breast surgery? Yara says yes, she got her boobs done. She's happy. They're spectacular. She also used Angela's doctor. I think it's Dr. Obeni. I'm not sure. And so Angela tells Yara, well, girl, I wish you would have told me that you're going to use my doctor. Then I could have given you some pointers or some advice or whatever reason she had for wanting Yara to contact her first. And Yara was like, no, I was not going to call you and tell you anything because you probably just would have cussed me out, which she's probably right about that. So another person on stage who was interested in getting breast augmentation surgery was Shida. And I was like, girl, what? So Shida says not now, but after she has a baby, she's considering getting her boobs done. Okay, fine. If that's what makes you happy, girl, go for it. So then they talk about Jovi going on this safari. So after Yara was back home from her surgery recuperating, Jovi took off. He went to Africa. He went to South Africa for a safari trip. And so everybody got on his case about why would you do that? Your wife was trying to recover and she really needed you there. I didn't understand. And Miss Gwen, Jovi's mom, she had also joined in by this time. I didn't understand why this was even a topic of discussion because Yara said she didn't care. She gave him the permission to go to Africa. She said she didn't want him sticking around being miserable because he missed his trip. He was going to be miserable around her, and she didn't need that negativity. So she was okay with him leaving, with him going. But everybody was like, you should have stayed, you should have stayed, you should have stayed. I agree. He should have stayed with his wife after she had major surgery. And I think it was Liz that said, but it was elective cosmetic surgery. So it wasn't like, it was some type of life or death situation. She chose to have elective cosmetic surgery. But even surgery is surgery. I understand, it's elective, it's for cosmetic reasons, but when they cut your body open and you have to have general anesthesia and it doesn't matter what the reason is. The risk is still the same. So I understand she's choosing to look prettier or whatever, and she could have done this after the trip or what. We get it, fine. But the thing is, it happened. She chose the date that she chose, or the doctor chose the date that was chosen. I think he should have, hopefully he was smart enough to get insurance, and he could have, I don't know, gotten a refund or rescheduled the trip or whatever so they could enjoy it together. But Jovi's Jovi. Even his own mom said that it was immature of him to still go on that trip instead of staying home with Yara, because, he should have had the wherewithal on his own to be like, you know what, my wife just had surgery. And plus the fact that he kept on ragging on how, he was very critical on how her breast looked. He was really critical about that. And so even though she says she did this for herself, so on and so forth, I know a little part of her probably also was happy that she was getting this done so that Jovi could be more pleased with her. So, I mean, the fact that he would criticize her breast, she went and she did something about it, and then you take off and she's in recovery. I mean, I thought that was it wasn't right. I think he should have stayed to help her out. Moving on from there. So Jovi's mom, she didn't agree with Jovi leaving, but Miss Gwen did show up to watch Mila to help out Yara. Yara was by herself for a few days, but then Miss Gwen came to help out. So Andre gets on Yara's case for allowing Jovi to go. I didn't know where the hell that was coming from. Because she said she was okay with it. So then Andre was like, well, you shouldn't have been okay with it. You should have, tried to guilt him into staying or something, whatever. So now I'm thinking to myself, if Yara wants to go on a trip with her friends, on an international trip or whatever with her friends, Jovi shouldn't say anything about it because she let him go to Africa. They talk about this whole second child thing. Jovi really wants a second child. His reasoning is that he doesn't want his kids to be too far apart in years, and he doesn't want to be older when he has, a new baby. So he wants to try to have a second child as quickly as possible. Yara says she is not ready to have a second child. Miss Gwen, because she's the one that's, she's like the third parent, and she's helping out with the raising of their children. Miss Gwen was like, no, y'all don't need a second kid, because she knows that she's going to have to, help them out. So the whole second kid thing, Yara's like, no, we're not doing that. People were on stage were saying that, I think it was Ed and maybe Andre, they were saying that it seems like, Jovi wants her to have a second child to trap her, because Jovi probably feels like Yara is slowly slipping away from him, and so he wants to keep her grounded by keeping her pregnant and keeping her tied to a newborn baby. That's probably true. I can see that being a possibility. I do feel like Jovi feels like Yara is slipping away from him with this whole thing of her buying property in Europe and wanting to live in Europe half the time. Yeah, I feel like he's worried that she's slowly slipping away from him. But even if she had a second child, yes, she'll be grounded temporarily. And then in a year or two, she's going to be right back to wanting to move to Europe or whatever the hell she was trying to do. So yes, the second child is to keep her grounded, but the baby's not going to be a baby forever. She's not going to be pregnant forever. At some point the baby's going to be born, the baby's going to get older, and then she might still want to, do whatever the hell she wants to do. So Yara's like, no, it's a hard no for me. I do not want to have a second kid right now. I am not ready to have a second child. So it was Angela, Andre, Ed, they all thought that this is what Jovi wanted, to keep her grounded. Andre said something about how Jovi really wants to keep Yara around because between the two of them, Yara's she's a she's the better looking one, as if to say Jovi doesn't have such a good chance of finding another woman, or I don't know what the hell Andre's point was, but he was basically saying that between the two of them, Yara's better looking. So everybody was like, no, Andre, that's just plain out rude. That is so rude. Jovi's looks got criticized a lot in this tell-all. So he's trying really hard to keep her because, he probably can't do any better than Yara, according to Andre. So they talk about whether Jovi and Yara depend too much on other people to watch Mila. And I agree, because Yara works from home, if she works at all. She says she's got a job and she's earning an income and she has her own money. I'm assuming it's from social media and endorsements and stuff like that, product endorsements. I'm thinking that's what she does, but she does that from home. Okay. She does all of this from home. She works from home, and it's not like she is, pulling in double, triple shifts. Okay. She works whenever she wants to work, does whatever she wants to do as far as her. So that's the whole point of people trying to become influencers and trying to make a living off of social media, because it gives them the control. They can work when they want to work. They don't have to do, clock in at 8 and work until midnight or whatever. They can clock in, clock out whenever they want. They can pick and choose when they want to work. So her schedule needs to revolve around the needs of her child. But the way Yara tells it, it's as if she's like, a registered nurse working in the ER, and she's doing triple shifts, and she's gone for like 24 hours, working on her feet. She makes it seem like, I just cannot do this alone and I need help. You're social media. That's what you do, girl. You don't, girl. Anyways. So yes, I think that they do depend too much on Miss Gwen, for the caretaking of Mila. When Jovi kept on saying, there was that time when I was gone for 6 to 8 weeks and my mom wasn't coming around as much, and Yara was stuck with the baby. She was stuck with the baby. And for him to use that terminology, stuck with the baby, that really irked me, because this is your child. You don't consider it being stuck with. The only person stuck with Mila is Miss Gwen. So this is her child. Her being with her baby full time is what a parent does. You're with your children all the time because you're their parent and they need constant care, especially babies that young. So when he kept on saying, Yara needed help because she was stuck with the baby. She was stuck with the baby and my mom wasn't coming around to help out. That really irked the hell out of me. It aggravated me so much. So Yara starts crying as she's defending herself. She was like, I do take care of my baby and blah, blah, blah. And then she starts crying and stuff. Girl, Yara, I like you. I like Jovi, and I like the two of you together. But Yara, stop. You are not, you're not a single parent who really has to hold it down completely 100% on their own, trying to work 1, 2, 3 jobs to put food on the table. Okay, Yara, stop it. You're choosing to do whatever you're doing because you want to, your social media career. I'm even going to agree with you. That is a job. That is a legitimate job. You pay taxes on that income. That is a legitimate job. And you have to devote time and energy to that. I get it. But don't sit up here and make it look as if, it is so hard for you. It's just so hard for you. Yes, your husband works and he works away from home and he's gone for a month or 2, maybe 3 months at a time. I don't know how it is. But when you're home all the time, it's not like you have to leave the home to go make a living. You're in your home with your child. Okay, you can use your child in your social media. You can promote baby clothes or whatever the hell. You can make it work, Yara. You're not that like in a lurch like real single mothers who really have to struggle to try to raise their children completely 100% on their own. So, okay, Yara starts to cry. Ed starts talking about how hard women have it, being working mothers, etc., how hard it is for women. And then Angela butts in and tells Ed, well, you're quick to defend other women, but you don't do that for Liz. So Miss Gwen, so then they talk about this argument that Gwen had with her son Jovi. So at some point, I think this was off camera, we did see the fight that they had. Not really the fight, but the makeup that they tried to do on camera. But that makeup stemmed from a fight that had gone on, I guess, before they started filming, between Jovi and his mother. So Jovi and his mother apparently had gotten into a really heated argument about Miss Gwen not being around enough to help Yara. And of course, Jovi felt the need to confront his mother because Yara was putting a lot of pressure on him to make sure that the mother came around, or that the grandmother came around more often to help her out with Mila. So this caused a very bitter argument between Gwen and Jovi. Now, Miss Gwen said that she just sat there as Jovi was yelling at her for not being around more to help Yara out more. She just basically took it. And it really affected her, and it should have affected her. And Jovi was 100% wrong. You cannot get mad at your mom for not helping you raise the child that you decided to have. She got no pleasure in making that baby. That baby is not her responsibility. If she chose to come around never, it is her right to do that. It is her right to do that. She has no legal responsibility or obligation to Mila. If she never saw Mila for another day in her life, that is her prerogative. This is your child, y'all's responsibility. So for Jovi to yell at his mother because his spoiled wife can't take care of one baby and she doesn't even work outside the home, that was so wrong. That was so wrong. I wanted to jump into my television screen and give Jovi a really good talking to, because how dare you? She drives 2 hours to go help out with Mila. And I feel like when she did go see Mila to help out with her, I think Yara was taking advantage of it. And I think that's the reason. I think that's the real reason why Miss Gwen kind of started scaling back, because she was being taken advantage of. She was like, wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. Whenever I come around to help, it seems like I'm the only one here for Mila. Jovi's at work. Yara's doing Lord knows what. She probably felt like they're taking advantage of me because they don't even have to pay me. They're taking advantage of me. And so Miss Gwen had to put a stop to it. And here comes Jovi yelling at his mom for not coming around enough because his wife can't handle one baby. So I thought that was wrong. So that's what we saw on television, was them trying to reconcile after that argument. And it was they reconciled. It was fine. So Yara was so Jovi was receiving a lot of pressure from Yara, and y'all, I think Jovi is whipped. Okay, if you know what I'm saying. Jovi's whipped. He's whipped. Okay, and he's doing whatever he can to keep Yara around, because I know he feels like Yara is slipping away from him. And for him to treat his mother like that, he didn't even deny that he was yelling at his mom. He didn't even deny it. All he said was, I was getting a lot of pressure from Yara. Yara is coming in between his relationship with his family because he's whipped. He is so whipped for this woman. And when the friend said that Jovi is out of her, was it Jovi's out of her league? Or she's out of his league. Jovi's out of her league. Like, Yara is too good for Jovi. I don't think Yara is too good for Jovi, but I think Jovi thinks that Yara is too good for him. And I think Yara thinks that she's too good for him. I really do think that. And he feels like he has to do whatever he can to keep her around, even if it means cussing his mom out, because his mother is choosing to live her own life. She says, I'm 56 years old. I live 2 hours away. I have my own life to live. I can't be at your beck and call whenever Yara needs someone to come babysit her baby, when they chose to to live so far away from everybody else. So let me talk about the relationship. Jovi said, because in this season he had said something about how if it wasn't for Mila, they wouldn't be married. And Jovi tried to clean that up on stage. And he said, I didn't mean that we're together because of the child. What I mean is Mila enhances our relationship. Having Mila makes us stronger. She makes us better. We're not together because of Mila, but having Mila just improves our relationship. And Yara says she didn't like the fact that he had said that, because it made it seem like they were only together for the baby. Because Yara says, are we also together for love? So Yara says that she wants to buy property in Europe, and it's going to be under her name and under her child's name, but not under Jovi's name. So this was a huge area of contention for these people. Everybody thinks that Yara wants to buy this property in Europe so that she can eventually leave Jovi and go back and live in Europe. I'm beginning to think now that she probably wants, I used to think that she wanted to leave and go back and live in Europe, but I don't think she wants to do that. I don't think she really wants to do that. I think she does want to have the property, and I think that she wants to stay in Europe, but I think she wants to stay in Europe maybe like half the time. Maybe she wants to split her time between America and Europe. I think that's why. I don't think that property is for them to use together when they visit Europe. I think that property is going to be her second home. Liz says, well, it sounds like an escape plan. And Yara denies it. She says, I'm not trying to escape. She says, if I wanted to escape, I could, which I totally believe. If Yara wanted to leave, she would definitely leave. Ain't nothing will make her stay with Jovi. If she wanted to leave, she would leave. And maybe that's what she does want to do. Maybe she does want to eventually live permanently in Europe. But I think right now she sees a lot of opportunities in America for herself, especially since she sees herself as this growing social media influencer. I think that she's probably going to split her time between the United States and Europe. So she definitely, wherever she wants to end up, for sure, she wants to leave Louisiana. So she talks about, I want to leave Louisiana for sure. And they ask them, well, where do y'all want to go? And Jovi says, I'm thinking about moving to Florida. So that's when Miss Gwen comes in and says, we brought property closer to y'all so that I can help out more. And now you're talking about leaving Louisiana. So he says he's thinking about going to Florida. Now, when they asked the question, where do y'all want to live? Yara didn't say anything, but she kind of had like this smug look on her face. And Jovi said, I want to move to Florida. So then when, Miss Gwen talks about, blah, 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 I'm buying property closer to y'all so I can help y'all out more. Yara steps in and says, well, if you come visit us, you're going to be close to the beach. So when she said that, I was like, oh, so most likely it's Yara that wants to move to Florida, probably Miami or somewhere hot like that, somewhere poppin' like that. It's Yara that wants to move to Florida. And she made it seem like it was Jovi's idea that they were going to be possibly moving to Florida. So, So then they talk about, well, what about the help with Mila? And Yara says, well, she'll be in school, so we're not going to need as much help because she's going to be in school soon. And so that's when Miss Gwen says, Jovi, I told you that we were going to be moving closer to y'all. And Jovi says, well, Yara's unhappy, so we're moving. He tells his mother that. When the mother was like, we're going to be moving closer to y'all to help y'all out, Jovi says, well, Yara's unhappy, so we're going to be moving. You see, Miss Gwen, that's where you messed up. I'm sorry, Miss Gwen, but that's where you messed up. You should have held tight to the ideology of your kid, your problem. Okay, she should have held tight to that. She should have been like, your kid, your problem. I'm not changing my life to help y'all out, to help y'all raise your daughter. Your kid, your problem. I'll come by when I can. Okay. When it's convenient for me, I'll drive the 2 hours to come see my grandbaby, but your kid, your problem. But instead, Miss Gwen was doing what a loving grandmother will do. She wanted to move closer to help her son out, to see her grandchild more. And this is how they repay her. This is how they thank her, by leaving. And so what are they going to do with that property that they bought? What do we do with all that? So they show the clip of Yara out with her friends, and they show the clip of, Jovi criticizing her breasts. And then they show the clip of her friend Adelaide. I think her friend's name was Adelaide, saying that Jovi was out of her league. And then Yara laughed. So they talked about that. Like, why did you laugh when your friend said that? And Yara is going to play stupid and say, oh, I didn't know what that meant. English is my second language. I didn't know what that meant. So I didn't understand. I didn't know what she was talking about. Well, why didn't you ask? Yara stopped. This whole thing of, girl, Yara could have asked. If she didn't know what it meant, she could have asked. She could have said, what does that mean? He's out of my league. What does that mean? But she laughed. And if you didn't understand what it meant, why did you laugh? And she said because she didn't know and she wanted to be polite, just letting her friend talk. So she just laughed, I guess, just to be polite. I don't see Yara being that way. Other people probably, but I don't see Yara, someone saying something about her relationship, she doesn't understand what it means, and her just laughing it off. Yara is the kind of person who would be like, what does that mean? What do you mean by that? So she ended up apologizing, saying that, oh, I shouldn't have said that. That was wrong for me to, no, I shouldn't have laughed. My reaction was wrong. I should not have laughed. That's what she said. So Jovi thinks that her friends are influencing Yara. Nobody is, no. Let me tell you something, y'all. The reason why Yara gets along with these girls so well is because she agrees with them. I don't think they're influencing her. I think they are agreeing with her. The fact that she's too good for Jovi, that she deserves something better. Yara believes this. They're not influencing her. These are her own thoughts. She expresses them to her friends, and her friends are like, yeah, girl, we agree. Ed says something about how Yara wants to have a plan B. Yara says, no, that's not true. She doesn't have a plan B. A plan B meaning like, to find somebody better than Jovi or to end up leaving Jovi. Yara denies it. So then we start this argument between Ed and Yara and Jenny. Jenny got so heated with Ed. And like, girl, Jenny, Ed just wants a reaction. Because Ed sits there, cool, calm, and collected, while he's going back and forth with Jenny. Jenny's the one that's getting frustrated. Her blood pressure is rising. She's getting trying to almost get off of her seat. And, all of this kiss my A and shut the F up. Ed just wants a reaction. Ed doesn't even care what the hell y'all are talking about. It doesn't matter to him what the argument is about. He's just going to say things to get a reaction because he'll say things completely out of pocket. He'll say things that have nothing to do with the discussion at hand because he just wants to see people react. He just wants to see people get uncomfortable. And it worked. He got Jenny exactly where he wanted her. She got so worked up. I mean, she almost stroked out how angry she was with Ed. Girl, just leave Ed alone. Don't let Ed get under your collar like that. So I think in my personal opinion, Yara sees herself like she's Hollywood. She sees herself on the level of, I'm sorry that I have to use these people as a measuring stick, but I can't think of anybody else who uses, all they do is just use social media, as their career. She sees herself like a Kardashian. Okay. She sees herself like one of those type of people, someone who just, lives off of their looks, lives off of taking pictures all day. All they do is just take pictures and post them on their social media and make a whole lot of money doing that. That's how I think Yara sees herself. And I think that she does see herself as, I'm too good for Jovi and this, Louisiana lifestyle. I need to be in Miami or LA or somewhere like that. And I think that maybe she wants to see herself with a baller or an actor or a rapper or another person who's a big time influencer. I think that's where she eventually wants to end up. And Jovi is just a small town kid from Louisiana, from New Orleans. He likes his job. He says he likes his job. It makes a decent income. Jovi is just regular, and Yara thinks that she's more than regular, that she's above average. And I think that, I don't know. I don't really see Yara and Jovi really lasting that much longer. So that was the end of the reunion. Then we have all of this after the reunion stuff. I don't want to spend too much time on it. First of all, while they were riding in the car, it was Kim, Jenny, and Yara riding in the car together. I don't know why Yara and Jovi didn't ride together, because Shida and Bilal did. But anyways, so it's Yara, Kim, and who was the third person? Oh, Jenny. They're all riding in the car together. And so Jenny says, Kim tells Jenny that, oh, I was really hurt by what you said. And she's referring to something that was said the day before. She's referring to something that was said the day before. She said, I'm really hurt by what you said. And Jenny's like, girl, I already told you, Usman does love you. He loves you as a friend. He loves you as a person. He is not in love with you. And I'm glad that Jenny stuck by what she said and she didn't try to backpedal. And Kim was like, you just don't understand. You don't understand. Usman loves me. He's in love with me. Okay, girl. If you believe it, that's all that matters. Let's get off of that. You believe that Usman is madly, deeply, insanely in love with you. Fine. He is. Are you happy now, Kim? Then they talk about Ed. I don't care about the whole Ed situation where everybody hates Ed. Ed is horrible. Ed is this. I don't care. Ed just wants a reaction out of y'all, and it is working. So everybody's at the bar. Jovi pulls Ed to the side because, Ed had a lot to say about his relationship with Yara. He was basically saying that, Yara's just using you. He was telling Jovi on stage, Yara's just using you. She ain't trying to be with you long term. She's got bigger and better things planned. She's going to go live in Europe and leave you behind. And yeah, so it really bothered Jovi. So he had to pull Ed to the side and address him about the things. And this was already discussed between the two of them in the car. After the reunion, when they were on their way to the bar, it was already discussed because Jovi had already told Ed, I don't like how you were talking to my wife. I don't like how you talk to women, blah, 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 blah. So in the bar, Jovi pulls him to the side. And once again, I don't like how you were talking to my wife. I don't like how you're talking. And Ed is like, we already talked about this. He says, we already talked about this in the car. And he was like, this discussion is over. This conversation is over. And he's gone. Jovi, you're exhibiting like simp behavior. You're exhibiting very weak-minded behavior, Jovi. You see how Andre doesn't even waste his time with Ed because he understands. Ed just wants a reaction. Okay, so Liz is now telling Jenny her feelings are very conflicted. Like, why? Why are you conflicted? Ed is horrible to you. End of story. Why are you conflicted? Why is Jenny? So Jenny wants to talk about Ed again. Whatever. Liz says in her confessional, not her confessional, but on her little interview with the camera, she goes, Ed is a liar and I deserve better. Thank you. Thank you for finally coming around to reality. So Liz says that she is jealous of Jenny's relationship with Submit because of Submit saying how the house, what did he say? Something about the house doesn't feel like a home without Jenny. Some Hallmark card crap. And everybody just melted over Submit saying that. But did they not see the season? Have they not watched the show yet? Have they watched any of the seasons with Submit and Jenny, and to see how Submit drives Jenny up the damn wall? How Submit treats Jenny just because he said that little copy and paste Hallmark statement doesn't mean that Submit is good for Jenny. Her daughter left India extremely worried about her. And her daughter left India worried about the fact that her mother wants to continue this relationship with Submit. Did y'all not watch the season? Anywho, look, y'all, Submit is just waiting for his inheritance. And I'm not talking about the inheritance from his parents. He's waiting for his inheritance from Jenny. Okay? If you know what I mean. So Ed wants to talk to Liz now, right? So he comes in and he's looking at Liz and he's like telling Liz, can we talk? And Liz says, no, she doesn't want to talk. Okay, fine. Bilal, he tries to stand up for Ed. He tells the others, Bilal, what are you talking? He says, hurt people. Bilal, if you don't take this crap and go somewhere with it, you're not seriously going to give us this cliched line to explain Ed. Hurt people. Bilal, get the hell out of here. First of all, we're all hurt. We've all been through stuff. Okay, we've all gone through stuff. It is not an excuse or a justification for treating people wrong. Jenny, Kim, and Angela talk about their sex life with their men. Cringeworthy. Angela, whatever's going on between her and Michael, I would say it's mediocre at best. Liz, I think it's a lot to be desired and very mysterious. Kim, when she does finally get it from Usman after begging and pleading for it, and she finally gets it from him, I'm pretty sure it's average at best. I think he gives her the bare minimum because he just wants to do something just to shut her the hell up and get her office back. Jenny, non-existent. Jenny's sex life with Submit, non-existent. Nobody can make me believe that it's going down like that in Jenny and Submit's bedroom. I'm so sorry. Non-existent. Ed is leaving for Boston. He says, I got to go to Boston. I have a speech engagement in Boston. Okay, Ed. He has a speech. Somebody's paying Ed to talk. About what? He has a speech engagement in Boston. And he's like, I gotta go. I'm leaving in the morning, and Liz can find her own way home back to San Diego. He sends her a text like, hey, They're going to take care of you. I'm out of here. And so Liz was like, why would he send that to me? Girl, who cares? He's leaving. This is like the first step to living Ed free. Angela and Kim, they talk about their men. I don't know why. They have the same exact problem. They're both being used. And it's not because they're Nigerian. It's not because they're African. It's because in these two specific, unique situations, these women are being used. Angela tries to tell, what's her name? Angela tries to tell Kim, Usman's using you. Be very careful. He's very Girl, are you taking your own advice? Are you taking your own advice? At least Kim isn't married to Usman. You are. And your dude's about to show up on your doorstep. Okay, because his visa is about to be approved. And what are you going to do then? So at least Kim is not going to have those kind of problems. Okay, she doesn't have to worry about taking care of Usman. Michael's about to show up on your doorstep, and you're going to be legally obligated to take care of this man, even though you believe he's cheating on you. So the whole thing with Angela and Michael, it seems like there's a big old question mark, which is very scary for me, because it's as if we're going to be seeing these people again. It's as if they're going to bring back Angela and Michael in some capacity. They're going to be coming back to TLC either with their own little spinoff, or they're going to be part of the next Happily Ever After. It's very, very scary, the fact that everything was left up in the air. Is she going to pull the visa? Is she not going to pull the visa? What's going to happen when Michael shows up in the United? So I'm very, very scared. I'm very, very scared that Michael and Angela are going to be back. Kim, who cares? She wants to believe that Usman's deeply in love with her. Okay, fine. Bilal and Shaida, they're on their way to parenthood. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. And they're on their way to having a joint bank account. Good. Ed and Liz says that they're done for good, and this is the last breakup. Yara and Jovi, they're in their hotel room. They're bickering. They're fighting. They're going back and forth, back and forth. Yara believes that Jovi is trying to trap her with the baby. She tells him, because Jovi was like, I can't believe, people were saying that I was trying to trap you. And Yara was like, yeah, because you are. Jovi says, you didn't apologize to me directly, about you laughing at what your friend said, that I was out of your league. And Yara was like, I did apologize. I did say that I should not have laughed. And Jovi says, no, but you didn't apologize to me directly. You should have apologized to me. And Yara's like, what does it matter? I already said that I shouldn't have said it. Or I shouldn't have laughed. So now they're outside waiting for an Uber. Yara's cracking jokes about, we're going back to the swamp. We're going back to swim with alligators. And so the Uber is taking its time to show up. And so she's like, yelling at him, like, where's this Uber? Is this Uber even coming? And so Jovi says to her, hey, now because, she says, what does he say? So Jovi brings up how he says to her, it's because of you that my mom is moving. Basically saying, you put so much pressure on me that you needed help with Mila, that, my mom felt obligated to move closer to us so that she doesn't have to do the 2-hour drive to come take care of Mila, to come take care of our child that we created, but we're guilting her into taking care of. So she's, uprooting her life in New Orleans to come live wherever the hell they're at. It's all because of you. And so Yara goes, don't blame me for this. Don't blame me for this. She says, this is not my fault. I'm not going to sit here and let you blame me for everything that goes wrong in your family. This is not my fault. Do not blame me for this. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, and leave me alone. And that's where it ended. That's where it ended, y'all. Angela, she says that she doesn't believe Michael ever really loved her, and that divorce is definitely on the table. Okay, we all know that y'all are going to be coming back in some capacity to torture us for a whole nother season. I have nothing to say about Angela Michael. But Yara is a lot. Jovi, you're whipped. Stop acting like you're strong. You're definitely whipped. Yara runs the show. If Yara decides to go live in Europe, Jovi's probably going to go join her in Europe. He's going to try to join her. He's probably going to get an apartment next to hers to be close to her. He is so whipped over this woman. And I think that Yara feels like she can do better than Jovi. I really do believe that she thinks that she can do better than Jovi. She sees herself with like a big time athlete, an actor or something. She sees her life beyond Louisiana, way beyond Louisiana. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for every single person that has ever clicked into one of my reviews of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After and spending your time with me. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart for every watch, for every like, for every dislike, for every single comment, good or bad. I really do appreciate y'all giving me the time of day. And I just really hope that when it comes back again, we can all reconvene and go through this all over again. Thank you so much for joining me on your way out. Do not forget to rate the video. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.